I am currently standing in the Bogside area of Derry. Here on 30th of Jan 1972, 13 civilians were killed. The day was known as Bloody Sunday and it became one of the most controversial and significant events of the Trouble. I travelled from London to Londonderry to understand what Bloody Sunday really was, beyond the headlines and the history books. But here in the Bogside, it doesn't feel like the past. It feels present. Speaking to locals, you begin to sense how much that day still lingers. In memory, in conversation, in the way it's remembered. Opinions remain strong about identity, justice, about the conflict that shaped this place. To understand it better, I spoke to someone who has lived with its legacy.
Hello, my name is Mark and I'm a museum guide here at the Museum of Free Derry. My earliest memory of Bloody Sunday is the day itself when I was 4.5 years old and we waited for my father to come home from the march. Thankfully he came home, but it was really well into the evening before he reached us. At that time in the city there was only one bridge crossing the river, so it was a momentous task to get from the Bogside where he was on the march over to our house across the river. And bear in mind there was a British Army checkpoint on the bridge and they were stopping people as they tried to go across. So I think the shooting stopped about 4:10 in the afternoon. I don't think my father reached our house until about 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. So that's my first conscious memory of Bloody Sunday. I didn't understand what it meant when the next couple of days my father didn't go to work. The whole of the town stopped. The silence was unbearable. And then they waited for the funerals to happen, which happened on the 3rd of February. My father handed me the memorial card for the victims when I was about 8 or 9. And he just handed it to me and he said, when you're older, you'll understand what this really means. Now, working for the Museum of Free Derry, I know what it means. He was telling me not to forget those people who were murdered on the 30th of January 1972. And I haven't, and I will never will. A powerful image, getting handed a card, a memorial card at 8 or 9 years old, had stuck with me. I'm now 58 years old. I haven't forgot that. And now my life has gone full circle from hearing about Bloody Sunday to now telling Bloody Sunday's story on behalf of the families of those who were murdered and wounded. That's what we do here, and we do it every day. With regards to how Bloody Sunday changed our society, it changed it forever. The people here couldn't believe that the British state took it upon themselves to attack an anti-internment civil rights march and to kill people who were protesting against internment. That real sense of disbelief has never left the city. But not only that, they smeared the people who they murdered. They told lies about them. They told lies about their families. And that is the biggest hurt of all, that they refused to be accountable for what they did.
Shortly after Bloody Sunday, the British government commissioned an inquiry led by Lord Widgery. The report largely supported the army's account of events, suggesting the soldiers had acted in self-defense. It was completed in over just 10 weeks, drawing concern over the speed and the limited scope of the investigation. Its conclusions were widely disputed.
The first inquiry, the Widgery Report, was a whitewash, and it blamed the people for getting themselves killed and injured. An absolute disgrace. And it took the Bloody Sunday Justice Campaign a lot of hard yards to get a second inquiry, and they're the only group of people in British legal history to get a second inquiry. That's the Saville Inquiry, which reported on June the 15th, 2010, when the British Prime Minister stood in their Parliament and apologised for Bloody Sunday. What he said was,
the conclusions of this report are absolutely clear. There is no doubt, there is nothing equivocal, there are no ambiguities. What happened on Bloody Sunday was both unjustified and unjustifiable. It was wrong. Lord Saville concludes that the soldiers of the support company who went into the Bogside did so as a result of an order which should not have been given by their commander. He finds that on balance the first shot in the vicinity of the march was fired by the British Army. he finds that none of the casualties shot by the soldiers of Support Company was armed with a firearm. He finds that there was some firing by Republican paramilitaries, but none of this firing provided any justification for the shooting of civilian casualties. And he finds that in no case was any warning given by soldiers before opening fire.
We've always known the truth. We knew it was unjustified and unjustifiable. But to hear a British Prime Minister say it was something else. But we know the truth, but we've never had justice. Never had justice. That fight for justice, 54 years on, continues every day. We won't rest until we get justice for the people who were murdered and the people who were wounded. But the campaign goes on. We're not broken. We carry on. The families will show their usual dignity and strength and resilience until we get the justice that they deserve. That's what the conflict was about, the British state against the Irish people.
I'm currently standing on the Peace Bridge, which shows how far the city has come since the Trouble. The Bloody Sunday and what happened in 1972 isn't just some distant history. It's living memory etched into the minds of people. This is Srinidhi Sanil signing off from Derry.